Saturday morning started ordinary. Pancakes on the stove. My playlist humming low. A citrus candle fighting the smell of butter. I was in socks flipping the last pancake when my brother and his wife walked in without knocking. "We're leaving Leo with you for the week," Felicity said, like she was handing me a plant. "Couples retreat. We fly tonight." I laughed because I thought it was a joke. Then Leo sprinted past me with a foam sword and whacked my knee. My spatula clattered to the floor. Sam avoided my eyes. "It would really help us," he murmured. "You work from home anyway." I made a decision that felt small in the moment and ended up saving my peace. I said clear and calm no. I didn't know that one word would turn my family into a storm, and I didn't know the envelope already on its way to my mailbox addressed to Guardian of Leo Hart would expose the real reason they'd been pushing so hard. I'm Maya, 29, a UX designer who actually likes quiet. I moved to Harbor City 7 years ago and built a life that fits. Small apartment, plants I keep alive, a balcony where the sunset slides between 2 brick buildings like a secret. My best friend Tess lives 4 blocks away and keeps a spare key to water my monstera when I travel. I like order. I like my calendar. I like choosing what my day looks like. Sam is 36 and has always been the charming one. Teachers adored him. My parents called him our sunshine. I was the responsible one, which in our family meant the one who will fix it. He married Felicity, 33, who runs an online boutique that sells glittery hair clips and wrap dresses. They're beautiful and also forever on sale because nothing ever ships on time. They moved here last spring after Sam's tech startup folded. "Fresh start," he said, hugging me with cologne that stung my nose. I meant it when I told them I'd help them settle. At first, it was easy. I watched Leo 4 for a couple hours while they apartment hunted or sat in a bank lobby. He liked trains and blueberries and fell asleep under a fleece blanket with tiny sharks. I could still hit my deadlines. No big deal. Then a couple hours became, "Can you do a whole afternoon?" which became, "We'll drop him at 9. It slid into my week like sand into a shoe. Annoying, then blistering. I started rescheduling client calls. I turned down a side project I wanted. Tess noticed. "Maya, this isn't babysitting," she said over phone one night. "This is childcare." "I'm just helping," I said already, tired of defending it. The first red flag arrived as a blue smear. Leo found my paint pens and decorated my trackpad while I was in a design review. My camera was on. Everyone watched me discover neon streaks across my laptop like a modern art crime scene. I laughed it off. "Normal kid stuff," Sam texted. "Thanks, sis." 2 days later, Leo stuck a dinosaur in my disposal. The growl it made before it died is something I still hear when the kitchen is quiet. He cried when I pulled it out. I consoled him. I ordered a new disposal. I told myself accidents happen. The third flag waved on a Tuesday. A client asked to move a meeting. I said sure. Then Felicity arrived early with Leo and a tote full of noisy plastic. "We're touring preschools," she chirped, scanning my living room. "You should really move that glass coffee table. And those shelves will topple. Honestly, you're not set up for kids." I looked at my table. I bought it with my first big bonus. It's heavy clear and shaped like a pebble. "This is my home," I said. She smiled like I had complimented her shoes. "We'll help you baby-proof this weekend. It'll be cute." That night, I told Tess. She toured my apartment like it was an accident report. Tess raised an eyebrow. "You need a boundary." I tried. The next time Sam asked, I said I could watch Leo on Fridays, only 3 hours noon to 3. "That's so specific," he joked. "We'll make it work." For 1 week they did. Then Felicity texted at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. "Emergency. I'll bring Leo at 7 a. He has loud toys now. That's good, right? He likes to stay busy." He stayed busy. He turned my ficus into confetti. He learned my door code by peeking. He buzzed in a package guy and ate the gummy vitamins from the free sample box. I called Sam, whispering so I wouldn't cry. "I can't do this today." Okay, he said. "We'll be right there." They arrived 2 hours later. Felicity stepped around my shredded plant and said, "We're all adjusting. You'll get the hang of it." I did something new. I didn't answer. The day they announced the retreat, I had pancakes ready for myself. Not them. I wasn't expecting company. I was expecting a quiet day and a video call with a team in Berlin. Felicity wore athleisure and lip gloss. Sam didn't sit. He kept looking at the door like it might escape. "We'll be gone 7 days," Felicity said. "It's a therapy thing, intensive. No phones." "Absolutely not," I said. My voice was steady in a way that surprised me. "I have a product launch and a life." Sam tried the old tone, the one from childhood that got him extensions on homework and extra desserts. "Maya, you know how hard it's been. We can't afford full-time care. You're right here." I set my spatula in the sink. "You chose to move here without a plan. That isn't my debt." Silence. Felicity blinked. "Wow," she said. "So now you're money-shaming us." "It's not shame," I said, "it's math." Sam flushed. "Mom and Dad always helped. Family helps." "Family helps," I said, "within limits." I glanced at Leo, who was now lining up pancake blueberries like planets. He looked small. He looked nothing like the problem. Felicity walked the perimeter of my living room like a building inspector. "We're going to bring over a baby gate," she said, as if I hadn't spoken. "Also the knives in your kitchen. Where do you even store those?" he could reach. "Felicity," I said softly, "I'm not your daycare." Her smile collapsed. "You travel for fun every month? You can take a break from Bali and be an aunt." The truth, I hadn't gone anywhere in 3 months. I had, however, planned a road trip with my boyfriend Eli 2 days down the coast, hot springs, no schedules. I hadn't told them because I knew how they would react. I told them now. "We leave Thursday," I said. "We booked it weeks ago." Sam exhaled like I'd stabbed him. "So you're choosing him over your family?" "I'm choosing myself," I said, for once. They left with threats disguised as disappointment. "We'll talk to Mom," Sam said, the way kids say, "I'll tell the teacher." Felicity added, "You'll regret this." I stood in my kitchen and felt my hands shake. Tess texted, "You good?" I typed, "I finally said no." She replied with fireworks. "Then proud of you. Keep saying it." The calls started that night. My mother's first. "Your brother says you refuse to help while they're in crisis," she said, already angry. "Is that true?" "It is, I said. "I've been helping for months. I'm falling behind at work." "We sacrificed for you," she said. "Sam practically raised you while we worked nights." It's a story I've heard so many times it has splinters. It's also true. But the conclusion they draw from it isn't. "I'm grateful," I said. "And I'm not a babysitter." She hung up before I could finish the rest. My father texted a Bible verse about family, then a second one about duty. I put my phone face down and stared at my glass table. In the surface, I saw me small and bent by reflection. Tess came over with cartons of takeout and a paper crown from a kid's birthday she'd just attended. She put the crown on my head and said, "Queen of Boundaries." I laughed. Then I told her about the threat. "About you'll regret this." She made a face. "They're bluffing." Maybe. But the next day, a yellow envelope arrived with a window for my address. My building's mailroom smells like dryer sheets and dust. I opened the envelope on the elevator. A letter slid into my hands. District Compliance Notice. "Dear Guardian of Leo Hart," it began. "Please confirm your residency at my exact address for school placement verification." The elevator doors opened. I didn't step out. Guardian. My stomach dropped in a slow, heavy way, like an elevator in a blackout. I reread the line, then the return address, then the signature block from the school office I'd never visited. There was a photocopy attached. At the top, in crisp black ink, was a registration form listing Leo's home address as mine. At the bottom, a tidy signature that looked like my name. I didn't remember signing anything. My phone buzzed. Sam again. Then my mother. Then Felicity rapid fire. I let them ring. I stared at the paper until the words blurred. Tessa's voice from last night repeated in my head, "They're bluffing." They hadn't bluffed. They'd planned. I folded the letter back into the envelope and tucked it under my arm like evidence. I walked into my apartment, placed the envelope on the glass table Felicity wanted to replace, and pulled in a breath. I wasn't just the convenient aunt anymore. On paper, I was something else entirely. And if my name was on more than this one form, the mess was bigger than babysitting. I picked up my phone and texted Tess, "I need you." Then I opened my notes app and wrote a title at the top of a new page, "Things I Didn't Agree to." Item 1, guardian of a child who isn't mine. Item 2 would arrive within 24 hours. Item 3 would explain why my brother kept looking at the door. But item 4, The real reason they moved here, the thing my parents never told me, that one would shatter the story I'd been repeating to myself since childhood. And it started with a red duffel bag I hadn't noticed until I tripped over it. The duffel sat by my couch like it belonged. Red nylon, frayed handle, a luggage tag with Felicity's looping F. I'd stepped over it twice before the word in my head guardian dragged my eyes back. Tess arrived 5 minutes after I texted. She didn't knock, just slid in, took one look at my face and said, "Show me." I handed her the yellow envelope. She read, fast lips moving. "They used your address for school zoning," she said. And this line, primary guardian, who wrote that? There's a signature, I said, throat tight. It looks like mine. Tess glanced at the red duffel. Gloves. Under the sink. We put on dish gloves like we were about to perform a tiny heist. Inside the bag, Leo's hoodie, a stuffed turtle missing an eye, a folder of forms, a Ziploc with his vaccination record, and a manila envelope stamped with a school district logo. I pulled the tab. Out slid copies. The registration form listed Leo's home as my address. Residence verified by relative guardian, a box checked. Beneath it, a scrawl that resembled my name. The emergency contact list had me at the top, with authorized to pick up already ticked. There was also a printed email from the district compliance office, home verification visit, scheduled for Monday 9:00 a.m. at the student's primary residence. The address was mine. At the bottom, if no adult guardian is present, student enrollment may be paused. Tess let out a low whistle. This is why Felicity wanted to baby-proof your place. Not for Leo, I said. For a walkthrough. A second sheet was worse. It wasn't school. It was from Family Services, another state transfer of file, noted in bold. Family assessment, follow-up it read. Purpose confirms safe, stable housing. Contact Sam Hart. There was a line about a previous incident in Nebraska. It was vague, but the date matched the month they'd moved. My stomach flipped. They didn't tell me any of this. Of course they didn't, Tess said. If you don't know, you can't say no. Memory clicked into a pattern, the way grids snap in design software. The first few can you watch him texts. Felicity's tour of my living room. Sam's constant glances at the door. It wasn't nerves, it was surveillance. They were waiting for a knock. I drifted to the window. Outside, the street looked normal, a delivery bike coasting by. A woman tugging a reluctant dog. I thought about the nights when Leo slept on my couch with his shark blanket, and I slid my laptop aside to cover him. I thought about Sam at 12, touching my shoulder when our parents worked graveyard shifts, whispering, "It's okay, it's me," and handing me a glass of water. My brother had been the hero in my childhood story. I'd been the reliable one in everyone else's. "Call the school," Tess said. "Right now, get your name off this." "I don't want to blow up Leo's enrollment," I said. "You didn't blow anything up," she said. "They lit the match and tossed it into your apartment." She was right. I dialed the registrar. A recorded voice told me to hold. I waited through tinny jazz and a reminder about picture day. When a woman finally answered, she spoke fast like the building was on fire. "Enrollment office. This is Maya Hart," I said. "I need to clarify a registration filed with my address. I didn't consent to being listed as primary guardian." There was a pause. "Student name, Leo Hart." She typed, "It's active, uploaded last week. Who signed for me?" "It says e-signature," she said. "Parents can add a relative." They checked the box. I didn't check anything I said, and I'm not his guardian. Her voice softened a notch. "We see this sometimes. People use an aunt's address to enroll in district. I understand the temptation," I said, fighting for calm. "But my name here isn't just an address. It's a legal status I didn't agree to." "You have a compliance visit Monday," she said. "If you're not his guardian, tell the officer. Bring ID, we'll adjust." "Will it hurt his enrollment?" "I can't advise," she said, honest and unhelpful. "But I can put a note in the file that you called." "Please do." After I hung up, Tess was already taking pictures of every page. "Document everything." "What about family services?" I asked. "We find out what happened," she said. "And we stop them from turning your apartment into a stage set for a life you don't live." We tried Sam first. He sent it to voicemail. Felicity texted 3 bubbles in a row. "Felicity, don't freak out, it's just for a bit." "Felicity, we knew you'd come around." Felicity, "Also don't talk to anyone. You'll make it worse." Tess made a face. "That's not how don't freak out works." I scrolled. A message from my mother sat above Felicity's thread, unread. I clicked. "Mom, Your brother is under pressure. Be the bigger person for once. I typed and deleted a sharp reply, then typed again. Me. Did you know they used my address for Leo? 3 dots. Then, Mom, it's practical. Everyone does that. Me. They also marked me as Leo's guardian. Long pause. Then, Mom, we'll talk at dinner tomorrow. Don't do anything drastic. Tess read over my shoulder. Classic. Don't do anything drastic means don't undo the thing we did without asking you. I'm not waiting for dinner, I said. We walked it to Sam's building. It was a walk-up in a gentrified block where coffee cost the same as lunch. No answer to my knock. No answer to my call. Downstairs, the Super Joe was sweeping the front stoop. He remembered me. Hey, Maya, he said. Your brother around. I was hoping you'd tell me. He glanced toward their door voice dropping. People were here this week. Clipboards, not UPS. Asked for Felicity. Left a card. Do you still have it? He fished in a plastic bag by his bucket and handed me 2 business cards. One from District Residency Compliance. One from Family Services Intake with a printed name, A. Green, LCSW. Did they come inside? I asked. Nope, he said. Door never opened. She. Felicity looked through the peephole and waited them out. I pressed the cards into my pocket. Thanks. We walked back, not talking, our footsteps crisp on the sidewalk. I could feel my heartbeat in my palms. Tess finally said, "What's your plan?" "Tell the truth," I said, "and find out why they needed me to lie." That night, I skipped dinner with my parents and drove there instead. Their house smelled like cumin and lemon oil. My mother was at the stove. My father was in his recliner with the news on mute. The moment I stepped in, my mother said good like I'd passed a test. The second sentence was, "Don't be dramatic." "Did you know about Nebraska?" I asked. Her hands stilled over the pot. She didn't turn. "They told you." "They didn't tell me anything," I said. "Family Services did." She sighed, a sound I recognized from years of exasperation that always meant this conversation is about to become my lecture. It was nothing, she said. A neighbor overreacted. Leo wandered outside one night. He opened the door by himself. Someone called. They had to do a visit. "You know how it is." "No," I said. "I don't." "They're good parents," she said quickly. "They just needed help." The woman said they need to show stable housing and extended support, so we told them to list you. It's just a form. "It is my name," I said, each word careful. On a line that means something. If something goes wrong, it becomes my mess. "They're in a bind," she said. "Sam's new job is demanding. Felicity's business is finding its way. The daycare wait list is long. You work from home. You have space." "I have a life," I said. She set the spoon down. "We did everything for you," she said, and then like a reflex, Sam raised you. My father cleared his throat, like he'd remembered he was part of this family. "You're making this harder than it has to be," he said without looking up. "A week. You say the right things. Everyone moves on." I stared at the pictures on the wall. Birthdays, graduations. A framed shot of Sam at 13, one arm flung around my shoulders. Both of us laughing at something I can't recall. I loved them. I was also angry enough to shake. "Did you ever plan to tell me?" I asked. "We were going to," my mother said, after it was done. "You get so reactive." "I get reactive when you forge my signature." She flinched. "I didn't forge anything." "Then who did?" Silence. I left before I said something I couldn't unsay. On the drive home, I replayed it all. Felicity's glossy certainty, Sam's eyes on the door, my parents' easy revision of the truth. It wasn't one lie. It was a habit stitched through our family, so common they forgot it had a cost. Be useful and don't ask questions. Back in my apartment, I poured water for my plants with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. The red duffel sat open like a mouth. I picked up the stuffed turtle and smoothed its frayed seam. Leo wasn't the problem. He was the kid caught in the churn. I opened my laptop and started writing. An email to the compliance officer. Subject: clarification, Ramonde visit. Leo Hart. In clear bullet points, I stated facts. I was Leo's aunt. I was not his guardian. I had not consented to being listed as such. I would be home at 9:00 a.m. to provide ID and access to my apartment so they could see my residence was mine, not Leo's. I copied the registrar. Then I drafted a second email to A. Green at Family Services. Same facts, same offer to meet. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go, I answered. Ms. Hart, a woman asked. This is Allison Green. I received your email. Her voice was plain, professional. Thank you for calling, I said. I appreciate the heads up, she said. I'll be there Monday. To be transparent, our office received a transferred assessment from Nebraska. It's not a formal investigation, it's a check-in. What happened there? I can't discuss another state's specifics, she said. But I can tell you what we look for patterns. Support, stability. We don't like surprises. I don't either, I said. Will being honest hurt Leo's enrollment? I'm not the school, she said. But honesty makes my job easier. You're not obligated to be anyone's alibi. After we hung up, I wrote one more email. This one to Sam and Felicity, subject Monday. No accusations, just facts. I would tell the truth to the district and family services. I would not lie about where Leo lives. If they wanted to meet and talk, my door was open Sunday noon to 3. No surprise drop-offs. No more, we're already on our way. I hit send. The message marked read within a minute. No reply. Sleep found me waiting shallow. I dreamed of checkboxes that multiplied when I tried to click them. I woke before my alarm to a knock. It was a woman in a green blazer with a badge on a lanyard and a man with a clipboard. Not Monday, Saturday. I'm Ms. Delaney from the district, she said. We're doing some early verifications. Do you have a moment? Behind her, Tess stood in the hallway, mouth forming a word I couldn't hear. She held 2 coffees like weapons and mouthed, "You got this." "Come in," I said. They stepped into my living room and looked around. Ms. Delaney's eyes lingered on my glass table. My couch, the row of succulents on the windowsill. "Is Leo here?" she asked. "No," I said. "He doesn't live here." "Do you have a bedroom for him?" the man asked. "No," I said. "This is my home, just mine." The man scribbled. Ms. Delaney tucked hair behind her ear. "We're not the police," she said, voice calm. "We just verify residency matches enrollment. If this is your residence and the student does not live here, then the form is wrong," I said. "And I didn't sign it." Tess stepped in, handed me a coffee, and stood by my shoulder like a pillar. "We have copies of everything they brought," she said, voice even. "Do you need to see them?" The man nodded. I gave them the scans from my phone. Ms. Delaney read quickly, then looked up. "We'll follow up with the parents," she said. "Thank you for being straightforward." Before they left, she glanced at the stuffed turtle on my shelf. "Cute," she said. "My kid had the same one." "His name's Captain," I said. "He visits. He doesn't live here." When the door closed, my hands finally shook. Tess took the cup from me and set it down. "You did that," she said. "You held the line." I laughed a short, breathless laugh. "It's only Saturday." "Then we plan for Monday," she said, "and for whatever Sam and Felicity do next." They didn't wait until Monday. At 11, my intercom buzzed. Sam's voice, tinny. "Please let us up," he said. He sounded small. "Just talk to me, May." I pressed the button. When they walked in, Felicity hovered by the door wrapped in a cardigan, despite the heat. Sam sat on the edge of my couch, like a brave kid at the dentist. "You went to Mom," he said. "She called me. She's upset." I went to the truth, I said. I also spoke to the school and family services. Felicity flinched. Sam stared at the floor. "We didn't mean for it to get this far," he said. "It didn't get this far," I said. "You pushed it." He swallowed. "We were desperate," he said. "They said we needed to show a stable place and family support. Our place was a mess. Work is insane. The daycare isn't safe. 2 kids got hand, foot, and mouth, and the apartment is loud and—" Felicity broke in, words spilling. "The neighbor smokes on his balcony. It stinks. The hallway fire alarm went off twice last month. They said homes like that aren't ideal. Your place." She gestured at my plants. "My clean white walls looks like a brochure." "And so you made me the brochure," I said. "We thought you'd say yes," she said, brittle. "You always say yes." "Not this time." "What happened in Nebraska?" I asked, voice low. Silence. Then Sam said, almost inaudible, "He got out." "Out?" I asked. "At night," he said. I fell asleep on the couch. Fell had a migraine. He opened the door. He wandered to the next building. A neighbor found him. It was February. Family services came. They said it happens, but when we told them we were moving here, they said they'd transfer the file and check on us. They want proof of stable routines. They want to see that we have help. So you decided I was the help, I said. On paper and in person. Sam nodded, shame written all over him. I should have asked. You should have told the truth, I said. Asking for help is one thing. Filling out my name on forms is another. Felicity's chin lifted. We signed your name because we knew you'd make it complicated. Because it is complicated, I said heat rising. Because legal words mean legal consequences. Because the next line after guardian is liable. Sam rubbed his eyes. We'll fix it, he said. We'll tell them he lives with us. We'll clean. You'll also be here Monday at 9, I said. With Ms. Green. I'm not covering. I'll be honest. Felicity's eyes flashed. They take kids away for less. Tess stepped forward before I could speak. No, she said steady. They don't take kids away because an aunt refuses fraud. They work out plans, if you're honest. Felicity looked at Tess like she'd forgotten she was in the room. And who are you? The person who's going to make sure Maya isn't railroaded, Tess said. And who will water her plants while she finally takes a damn weekend off. Something in Sam's face caved in. He looked older all at once. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. I was scared. I know I said. But you don't get to outsource fear to me. They left with the red duffel and the turtle. The apartment felt bigger after the door clicked shut. I sat. Tess sat. We listened to the quiet. You okay? She asked. No, I said, but I will be. We spent the afternoon making lists. Evidence contacts facts. We printed the emails and slid them into a folder. At 5, Eli called from the road trip motel he'd booked. You sure you want me to come over? He asked. I can bring takeout. Tomorrow, I said. Today I need to sit with this. Night fell like a curtain. I turned off the lights, and the city glowed through my blinds. I thought about Leo. I thought about the version of family. I wanted one where help is asked for not taken, where love doesn't hide inside forged signatures, where being the responsible one doesn't mean being the disposable one. At 9:13 p.m., my phone buzzed. A new email from Ms. Green, confirming Monday at 9:00 a.m. Parents notified. Please have identification available. Thank you for your cooperation. I exhaled. It sounded like surrender and relief at the same time. Monday would be the moment of truth. But Sunday had a job too. I needed sleep and strength, and a spine made of something stronger than resentment. I turned off my phone. I washed my face. I stood by the window and watched a late train carve a silver line in the distance. Somewhere tonight, Leo would fall asleep under sharks. Somewhere my brother would practice what to say to a woman with a notebook. Somewhere my mother would rehearse a speech about duty. Monday would untangle more than an enrollment form. It would redraw what family meant in our house. I set an alarm. I set 2. Then I lay down, palms open on the duvet, and told myself something new: I don't have to carry everyone. Sleep came fast, and in the morning, the knock came faster. The knock came before my alarm could finish its second chirp. 3 calm taps. Not urgent, not shy. Tess was already at my table with a legal pad and coffee. I opened the door. Ms. Hart. A woman in a navy blazer and low heels held out a card. Allison Green, LCSW. Behind her stood a younger man with a tablet and a quiet face. We'll be brief, she added, stepping in only when I did the little host nod people do out of habit. Thank you for coming, I said. My voice didn't shake. My palms did. Sam and Felicity arrived 30 seconds later. Leo wasn't with them. Sam's hair looked like he'd combed it with his hands. Felicity had on red lipstick and a sweater you wear when you want to look composed. Her eyes were glass brittle. We appreciate you meeting us here, Ms. Green said, motioning to the couch but not sitting. This is a follow-up from Nebraska and a quick check on everyone's plan moving forward. Plan, I asked. Safety plan, she said. Who does what when life is messy? She glanced around. Not judging, just cataloging. My glass table. The plant Tess resurrected last winter. A neat stack of mail with the yellow envelope on top. I want to be clear, I said. I'm Leo's aunt. I am not his guardian. My name was used without my consent. Ms. Green looked at me, then at Sam. Do you agree with that statement? Sam's mouth opened before his brain caught up. Maya, Sam, Felicity hissed. He swallowed. Yes, he said. We used her address. We checked the guardian box. His voice went small. We were told it would look better. By whom, Ms. Green asked. Our old caseworker Felicity blurted, then winced as if she already knew how that sounded. She said family support is important. She didn't say, like, commit fraud. She said, show your support network. Ms. Green didn't nod, didn't scold. She just wrote 2 lines in a small notebook that didn't seem big enough for the mess people hand her every day. Okay, she said. Next question. Does Leo live here? No, I said. Does he sleep here more than twice a week? No. Do you control his medical decisions? No. Are you willing to accept formal responsibility for him if there's an emergency? Silence bent the room. Tessa's pen paused mid-scratch. I'm willing to pick him up if someone's late, I said carefully. I'm willing to help in planned, bounded ways. I will not sign paperwork. I didn't read. I will not be a stand-in parent. Ms. Green's gaze stayed soft. That's an answer, she said. Thank you. She turned to Sam and Felicity. We need to see your apartment. Felicity stiffened. Now, Ms. Green said. A walkthrough is part of the check. We look at sleep space locks routines. We're not here to judge decor. Felicity opened her mouth, closed it again, and nodded. Sam glanced at me, and he looked exactly like he did when he was 8 and got caught trying to microwave foil. Will you come? He asked. I didn't plan to. I also knew the whole point of lying in the first place was to borrow my neatness. Yes, I said. I'll come. We walked the 5 blocks in a thin line. The air had that bright Monday smell, coffee bus exhaust, early bread from the corner bakery. Ms. Green asked neutral questions as we went. What time does Leo go to bed? 8:30, Felicity said. Unless we're behind. Who does drop off? Me, Sam said. Or my mom, if she's in town. He glanced at me and flushed. Not Maya, he added too quickly. In the lobby, Ms. Green held the door and let us go first. The hallway held a week's worth of life junk mail, a stroller, a pair of sneakers abandoned mid-tie. Sam's door had a bright square taped to it. I saw it the same moment he did. He froze. Eviction notice, it read, 10 days to cure or vacate. Past due balance posted in ugly numbers that made my cheeks go hot. So that's why he kept watching the door. Ms. Green didn't pretend not to see it. We'll talk with the landlord later, she said, as if it was a formality. We all knew it wasn't. Inside the apartment looked like 2 people had set down their lives and then been chased by time. Dishes in the sink, a laundry basket in the kitchen because the hallway was full of boxes. The couch was a fort of blankets. Leo's tiny shoes sat in a neat line under the window like he'd made a train and lost interest halfway. The bedroom had a low bed and a toddler mattress on the floor with a dinosaur sheet. Ms. Green knelt and checked the window locks. The outlet covers the smoke detector. She didn't make faces, she just made notes. Tell me about Nebraska, she said, eventually sitting on the ottoman as if she had all day. Sam rubbed the bridge of his nose. I fell asleep. He opened the door. In February, Felicity whispered. He didn't know how to lock it. We didn't use the chain. He's smart with latches. He just figured it out. What happened after Ms. Green asked. They came. We cried. We felt like the worst parents in the world. Sam tried to laugh, and it came out as air. They said it happens. They said get a door alarm, make a plan. They said if we moved, they'd transfer the file so we could keep services. What services, I asked. Sam's jaw tightened. Parent coaching, he said. A social worker came once a week. A therapist saw Leo for sensory stuff. He looked at me like he expected judgment. I felt something else entirely. Shame I hadn't asked more questions when they moved anger at being used, and a clean, bright slice of empathy. A 5-year-old, a winter night, a door that clicks. Chite. Ms. Green kept going. Any substance issues, legal trouble, domestic violence? No, they said in overlapping voices. Financial stress, she asked, even though the answer was pinned to their door. Yes, Felicity said. Our rent jumped. My manufacturer went under. Orders were delayed. Refunds piled up. People think online boutique means I'm rich. It means my phone buzzes with complaints at 2 a.m. Sam swallowed. I took the design job for security. The pay cut hurt. I picked up shifts at the hardware store. We've been passing each other like roommates. Ms. Green's pen looped a slow circle. Who suggested using Maya's address? Felicity stared at her hands. My mother, she said. She said everyone does it. She said what matters is Leo gets into a good school. And the guardian box, Ms. Green asked. Sam hesitated. Dad, he said finally, He said if the form shows family guardian, they relax. "Make it easy on yourself," he said. "He told us you wouldn't care," he added, looking at me. My chest tightened. I heard my father's voice saying, "You're making this harder than it has to be." I heard him say, "Sam raised you." I heard the old script and felt it crack. "Okay," Ms. Green said, and it wasn't a dismissal. It was a pivot. "Here's what happens next. The school will correct the file. Leo's enrollment will be tied to your address, or you will apply for an out-of-district permit if that's your choice. Second, we write a real safety plan. It includes who you can call when you can call and what the limit is. Third, you install childproofing now. Door alarm chain stove knobs. Finally, we set deadlines for the eviction cure. If that fails, we look at temporary housing options. This is not about punishment, it's about not pretending." She turned to me. "Your role is whatever you consent to, no more and no less." "That's what I want," I said. "Clarity, not chaos." A key turned in the lock. My mother stepped in like she lived there. She stopped when she saw Ms. Green recalibrated in a breath and smiled like she was hosting a brunch. "I brought soup," she announced, holding up a pot wrapped in a towel like a trophy. "Oh, you must be Allison." "Ms. Green," the woman corrected gently. "And you are Marta," my mother said, setting the pot on a cluttered counter like a statement of competence. Their mother. "We're very family-oriented. We handle things." My jaw worked before words did. "Mom." She waved a hand. "I told Sam not to worry you," she said to Ms. Green, as if we had all just met at a PTA event. "Maya gets prickly. She doesn't like surprises." "I don't like fraud," I said. She sighed at the ceiling, like it had been difficult since the day I was born. "We used your address for the school not to insult you. Sam took care of you when you were little. You do the same. That's family." Ms. Green didn't react to the bait. Ms. Marta. She said, "I'm building a plan. It uses the truth. Would you like a seat at that table, or would you like to make soup and listen?" For the first time in years, my mother looked unsure. She put down a spoon. "I'll listen," she said. We sat. Ms. Green drew little boxes on a page and wrote names in them. "Supports," she said, tapping each box. "Maya, what are you willing to offer by schedule?" "Plan, not last minute," I said. "1 evening a month. Emergencies if I'm free. No weekdays during work hours. No overnight without notice." Ms. Green wrote it down. Tess. Tess blinked. She hadn't planned to speak. "I can be the call Maya if she's not answering person," she said. "And I can send resources." "Parents?" Ms. Green asked, looking at my mother. My mother's face did a complicated thing. Pride and resentment and fear and the part of her that wants to be in charge all arguing under the same skin. "I can take Leo 2 Sundays a month," she said. "I can also pay for the door alarm." That surprised me. It surprised Sam more. He looked at her as if he'd expected a lecture and got an olive branch. "Felicity's parents?" Ms. Green asked. Felicity stared at the table. "They said we made our bed," she whispered. "They said move back to Nebraska if we can't handle it here," noted Ms. Green said. She drew a line through an empty box. She turned to Sam. "Eviction cure." He flushed. "We're 2 months behind. I can pay 1 this Friday. The other next month. I'm picking up extra shifts." Ms. Green slid him a list. City Assistance Program. Tenant mediation. Apply today. "If you're denied, text me." Then she looked at me again. "I need to ask one more question and then we're done. It's not about Leo. It's about your family story. People repeat stories to justify choices. I hear Sam raised Maya a lot. Maya, what do you remember?" The room went quiet in a different way. Even the refrigerator seemed to pause. "I remember Sam making me mac and cheese when I was 6, I said. "I remember him letting me watch a scary movie I wasn't supposed to see. I remember him giving me his hoodie on the walk to school when it snowed, and our mom had the early shift. I also remember being 8 and waking up alone." The microwave clock said 2:11. The apartment was dark. I sat by the door until morning because I thought monsters could turn the knob. My mother's head snapped up. "You were dramatizing. We were home by 2:30. "We were home at 4, I said, and I hadn't planned to say that hadn't planned to pull that thread in this room with these people, but there it was. The neighbor knocked. I didn't open it. I knew not to. Sam's face went gray. "I was supposed to be there," he whispered, and there it was, the shatter. the hero script with a crack down the middle. It didn't erase what he did right. It did change what we pretend was perfect. Ms. Green didn't write that down. She let it sit. Then she said, "Thank you for telling the truth," and stood tucking her pen behind her ear. "You can survive messy if you stop lying about it. I'll send the plan by 500 p.m. You'll sign what you actually agree to, not what anyone else imagines." And for the record, she glanced at my mother, refusing to carry, "Everyone is not prickly. It's adult." On the way out, she paused by the eviction notice and took a photo. "Paper has a way of snowballing," she said. "Let's melt this before it rolls." After the door shut, the apartment felt stranger without her, lighter and heavier at once. My mother tried to reset the scene by fussing with bowls. "Soup," she announced, as if stew could fix a forged signature. "Eat before it gets cold." Sam sank into a chair with a thud. He looked at me and didn't try to joke. "I'm sorry," he said, "for the form, for making you the brochure, for the story we told about our childhood, because it made us feel better." Felicity set 2 spoons on the table and didn't meet my eyes. "I was scared," she said, "and entitled. That's a bad mix." I stood at the sink and let the water run cool over my hands. The window over the counter framed a slice of sky the color of a fresh bruise. I thought about Leo's little shoes lined up like a train. I thought about the chain they hadn't used. I thought about the box Ms. Green drew and the line she put through an empty square where help should have been and wasn't. "Here's what I can do," I said, turning back. "Today, I'll help you install the chain and the door alarm. I'll send a list of daycare co-ops that don't cost a mortgage. I'll be here 1 evening a month scheduled. If you put me on any form without asking again, I'll be done." Felicity nodded fast. "Yes, we won't." My mother opened her mouth, closed it. "I'll go to the tenant office with you," she told Sam. Surprising us all again. "Your father can call his friend about the mediation clinic." I didn't ask who the friend was. I didn't want favors. I wanted rules. But if a phone call moved a line, I could live with that. We ate the soup. It tasted like cumin and apologies. When I left, the eviction notice was still on the door, but there was blue painter's tape and a new chain above the knob. Small fix, immediate wins. The big work would be slower. Back in my apartment, Tess exhaled big. "You were solid," she said. "Also, your mother getting told to sit and listen is my new favorite film." I laughed then, the kind that loosens your shoulders. "Ms. Green is a force. Keep her close," Tess said, tapping the corner of the safety plan draft Ms. Green had already emailed. "Also," Eli texted, "he says he loves you and he's proud, and he has snacks." I looked at the plan on my screen. Boxes with names, dates, words that didn't overpromise. It felt like a map out of a forest where every tree looked the same. My phone buzzed again. The school registrar. "We updated the file," she said. "Address corrected, guardian removed. Compliance marked complete. Thank you for the heads up." "Thank you," I said, "for fixing it." After we hung up, I opened a drawer and took out a small photo album I hadn't touched in years. I flipped until I found it me at 8. Asleep on the couch with a blanket bunched at my feet. A hallway light pouring a stripe across the carpet. On the back, in my mother's looping hand, Maya being dramatic 2 a.m. It made me smile and ache at the same time. The past doesn't change. The story you tell about it can. At sunset, I stood on my balcony and watched Harbor City do its evening theater. Taxis honked like geese. Someone argued on a phone about cilantro. A kid rode a scooter in a wide wobble and didn't crash. I breathed. I liked the way air felt when it wasn't thick with other people's expectations. The next knock wouldn't be Ms. Green. It would be a different kind of paper, the landlord's ledger, the daycare application, or the family group chat exploding because my mother, who had just been told to listen, had never mastered the art. Whatever came, I had a plan and a sentence I trusted. No, or better, here's exactly what I can do. The afternoon after Ms. Green left Harbor City felt different. The air had edges. My inbox hummed with predictable things, tickets, a bug report, a calendar nudge, but underneath was a new stillness. The plan existed. The story had shifted. I could feel bones settling where they belonged. At 4, Sam texted a photo, a new chain above their door, the blue painter's tape still hanging like a ribbon. Under it, Leo's little hand pressed flat against the wood from inside. No caption, just that small palm. I replied, "Good job." Then send me your tenant appointment time. I'll meet you there. He typed back a thumbs up. It was the first message in weeks that didn't carry an ask. I closed my laptop and stood on my balcony until the shadows turned long. A siren passed, then quiet. I thought of the boxes on Ms. Green's paper. My name sat in one. Not the center, not the border. A square with edges I chose. It felt like oxygen. Sunday night, my mother called 3 times. I let it go, then picked up the 4th. "We're eating," she said. "Come." "I'm not up for a crowd," I said. "It's family," she said, as if that were a cure. "I know," I said. "Another night." She sighed, then softened. "I was harsh," she said. The apology came out like a stone rolled reluctantly. "I don't like being told to sit and listen," she added, almost rueful. "It was new for all of us," I said. "Good new." A beat of silence. "Your father wants to help Sam with the lease. He called a friend." "I heard," I said. "I'll meet them at tenant services tomorrow. We do this by the book." "Always your book," she muttered, but there was no sting. "Eat something." "I will," I said. After we hung up, Tess texted a choice of dinner emojis. I sent a taco. 10 minutes later, we ate on my floor with napkins for plate sauce, on our sleeves, laughter, easy. "What's your next boundary?" she asked. "Travel," I said. "Eli's road trip, I'm going." "Good," she said. "Pack snacks. Hide your spare key." We both looked at the bowl on my bookshelf, where the extra key used to sit. It was empty. "Felicity borrowed it months ago," I said. "For a quick drop-off." I never got it back. Tess set her taco down. "Change your code," she said. "Tonight." I did. 6 digits I'd remember, no birthdays this time. I texted Sam and Felicity. I changed my door code. "If you need to drop anything, text first." They both heart-reacted. It felt small and adult. Monday morning started with tenant services in a beige office that smelled like toner and old carpet. Posters on the wall preached, "Know your rights" in 4 languages. A man with kind eyes called Sam's name. Mediation. We sat around a table that someone had carved initials into with a paperclip. The mediator wore a knitted tie and the patience of someone who had learned to outlast chaos. He asked questions I wanted asked. Income, rent, what changed, what's possible. Sam answered straight. Felicity wrung her hands under the table like she was washing something that wouldn't come clean. My mother sat to Sam's left purse on knees like a seatbelt. She didn't interrupt. It felt like a miracle. "Can you pay 1 month this Friday?" the mediator asked. "Yes," Sam said. "And the late fee." "And the second month in 30 days. "If I keep the extra shifts," he said. "Yes," the mediator wrote. "We'll propose a cure plan to your landlord," he said. "No guarantees, but it's standard." "Thank you," Sam said, and I could hear the gratitude sit raw in his throat. The mediator slid a sheet to Sam. "One more thing," he said. "Your lease lists a potential guarantor named Hart. We'll need their consent if we formalize any adjustment." I leaned forward. "Which Hart?" "Initials M.E. Hart," he said, glancing up. "That you?" My stomach went cold in one clean drop. "No," I said, voice level. "No one asked me." My mother flinched. "Your father?" she began, then snapped her mouth shut too late. The mediator raised both palms. "We don't need to resolve it now," he said. "We can use a cure agreement without a guarantor if the landlord accepts. But if they insist, we require documented consent. You can't name people without their signature." I nodded. "Good." Sam touched his forehead like he could rub out a headache. "Dad said we needed a backup name on file to look stable," he said quietly. I didn't see the problem. "You didn't see a problem because you don't have to live with my credit," I said. The words were soft. They landed hard. He winced. "You're right." The mediator gathered the papers. "We'll call this afternoon," he said. "If the landlord agrees, you'll sign a plan. No more surprises." When we left, the winter sun made a cold, bright slice down the steps. My mother stood still for a second, as if her shoes had stuck. "I'll talk to your father," she said. "He shouldn't have done that." "I'll talk to him," I said. "And I'll put it in writing." Felicity hugged her cardigan like armor. "I didn't know," she said. "About the guarantor." I should have asked. "Now you do," I said. "Ask, every time." They left for Sam's shift. My mother asked if I wanted coffee. I said yes. We walked to the corner cafe, where the owner knows my name but not my story. We sat by the window. Outside, a man tapped his bus card, missed, tried again, shrugged at the driver, and jogged. Life kept being ordinary, even while mine rearranged itself. My mother stirred her coffee, even after the sugar melted. "Your grandmother had a savings account," she said finally, eyes on the spoon. "For you. A college fund." The words felt like a train switching tracks at the last possible minute. "I know," I said. "It covered 2 years' housing and books. Scholarships did the rest." I smiled a little. Mac and cheese and pride. Her jaw moved. "We used part of it before," that she said. "When Sam's first semester at State went sideways, he lost his grant. Your father thought," she stopped, started again. "We thought he would right the ship. We borrowed from your account to keep him enrolled. It was supposed to be temporary. Then the startup, the loan, it snowballed. The air thinned. The cafe noises faded." I watched her mouth form a story she had practiced and avoided and justified for years. The dark truth walked in and sat at our table like it had a reservation. "How much?" I asked. She closed her eyes. "All of it," she said. "We put some back later. Not enough." I felt something under my ribs go quiet. Not pain, not shock. More like a machine turning off. When I asked, "Your junior year of high school," she said. "We told ourselves we would tell you when you were older. Then it was never the right time. Then we decided you didn't need to know. You had your scholarship. You were fine. You're fine. The family's favorite blanket over a wound. You told him, though," I said. "You told Sam." Her silence was the answer. The story I'd carried since childhood. Sam, the caregiver me, the burden he carried, tilted, slid, and landed in a new shape. He had helped. He had also been held up by things with my name on them. I was not the child they rescued. I had been the net they threw under him. My choices had been theirs long before I knew I was choosing. I took a slow breath. "That's why you keep saying he raised me," I said. "Because you need it to be true enough to quiet the other truth." Tears brightened her eyes, then retreated. "We did what we thought was right," she said, barely audible. "No," I said. "You did what was easiest to believe." We sat in silence while a barista wiped a table and a kid laughed at a dog outside. My mother reached across the small round table like she had when I was 6 and didn't want to cross the street. "Maya," she said, "we can't redo it. We can only do better now. Doing better starts with stopping the lies," I said, "and stopping the requests that assume my yes." She pulled her hand back and nodded once. "Okay," she said, "okay." When we left, the sun had shifted. The bus pulled away, the man who'd missed his tap earlier, now on the curb, eating a muffin. People get where they're going eventually, sometimes on the next bus. At noon, I met Sam at their apartment with a bag from the hardware store. He had the door alarm instructions open on his phone. I drilled, he held the ladder. Felicity corralled screws and didn't micromanage. It was the most peaceful teamwork we'd had since they moved here. Tenant Services called Sam, said, handing me a level. Landlord agreed to the plan. We signed Thursday, no guarantor. "Good," I said. He watched me mount the plate, voice low. "Mom told me she talked to you." "She did." He leaned his shoulder against the doorframe. "I didn't know it was all of it," he said. "I knew they used some. I didn't know how much." "You knew enough," I said. "It didn't come out like a slap. It came out like gravity." He nodded. "I'm not asking you to forgive me today," he said. "I won't ask you to forget. I will say this, I'm done letting our parents use old stories as a leash." I clicked a piece into place, then stopped tugging it. He almost smiled. "Working on it." We tested the alarm 3 times. It chirped a bright, annoying sound each time the door moved. Leo clapped like a tiny foreman. "Again." "Not again," Felicity said, laughing. "Only when we really need it." He made a dinosaur roar in protest and wandered off to line his cars up on the rug. His world made sense when his toys were in rows. Mine made sense when the adults used words that matched actions. I stayed for an hour. We tightened a bookshelf to the wall, moved a lamp, taped a loose outlet. When I left, Felicity hugged me fast. "Thank you," she said, "for help, and for not burning us to the ground." "I like my apartment," I said. "I don't want any fires." She laughed, then sobered. "I took Leo off the wait list for the expensive center," she said. "I put him on 2 co-op lists. I can do trade shifts. It's humbling." "Humbling beats hungry," I said gently. "You'll figure it out." On my way home, my phone buzzed. An email from Ms. Green Safety Plan attached for signatures. It read clean and simple. Boxes with names. No miracles. No martyrdom. I signed mine and sent it back. Eli called as soon as the PDF whooshed away. I have salty snacks, sweet snacks, and a playlist that starts with a guilty pleasure boy band, he said. I'm outside in 10. Come up, I said. No, wait. Let's go right away. He laughed. Shoes on. Be right there. I grabbed a bag I'd half-packed ages ago and added a sweater, a book, and the orange flashlight from my junk drawer that always makes me feel prepared. Before I locked up, I checked the bowl where my spare key used to live. Empty by design. The code was changed. The boundaries were real. On the road, we rolled the windows down and let cold air slap our cheeks awake. The ocean winked blue between buildings, then opened wide. It smelled like salt and wishes. Eli tapped the steering wheel to the beat and glanced over. You look lighter, he said. I said. Truth is heavy at first, then it lets you put things down. We stopped at a turnout and sat on a low wall watching the water pulse. Pelicans flew in a line like punctuation marks. A toddler threw a cracker and screamed when a gull took it. The world was ridiculous and beautiful. I told my mother I'm not a safety net, I said. How'd that go? She survived, I said. So did I. Proud of you, he said. He didn't offer advice. He didn't try to fix. He handed me a peanut butter cup and leaned his shoulder into mine. That kind of support is a miracle, too. We drove until dusk, found a motel with a neon sign that blinked VAC NCY and checked in. The bedspread had a pattern I couldn't name. The shower took a minute to run hot. The window framed a slice of moon like a smile. My phone buzzed while I brushed my teeth. A family group chat lit up like fireworks. My father had discovered the guarantor issue and sent a defense shaped like a lecture. Dad. I did what any father would do to keep his grandson in a safe place. Stability matters. Paperwork is a formality. You're overreacting. I typed 3 words and stopped. I deleted them. I typed something else. Me. Do not use my name or credit on any document without my signed consent. If it has already happened, remove it now. I am not a guarantor. I am not a guardian. I am an aunt who is willing to help as specified in the safety plan. Mom, we hear you. Dad, this is disrespect. Mom, Hector, stop. The little miracle of seeing my mother write that to my father made me grin at the motel mirror like a kid. Eli watched me from the bed, eyebrows up. I shrugged and tossed my phone on the nightstand. Progress, I said. At midnight, my phone buzzed again. A photo from Sam. The eviction notice was gone from their door. In its place, a taped copy of the cure agreement with 2 signatures and a date. Sam, we signed Thursday. Thank you. Also, Leo renamed the turtle. Captain is now door police. I laughed. I liked the kid's instincts. We slept with the window cracked open, and the ocean doing a soft drum solo outside. I woke before dawn to the sky the color of a bruise healing. We ate gas station muffins on the hood of the car like teenagers and planned nothing more specific than turn right at the eucalyptus grove. For the first time in months, my day belonged to me without guilt. Halfway back to the city 2 days later, Tess called with news. Ms. Green wants to do a quick follow-up Friday, she said. She's happy. She used the phrase high compliance, which in social worker is basically confetti. In social worker, good, I said. I love confetti you don't have to sweep. Tess hesitated. Also, your mom texted me. She wants your spare key to water your plants while you travel. She asked you instead of me. Yes, I laughed. Tell her I already have a plant sitter. Then I added, and thank her for asking. You got it, Tess said. I'll use my key. The Queen of Boundaries must have a court. We hung up. The city rose ahead, glass and stone, and 1,000 windows holding 1,000 stories. Mine felt less like a thread in someone else's tapestry and more like cloth I'd chosen. Shia. Friday's follow-up was quick. Ms. Green checked the chain, and the chirp glanced at the cure plan and asked Leo what he likes at school. Blocks, he said, and the fish. Solid choices, she said. She turned to me in the hall as we left. You did the right thing, she said. Not by us, by yourself. Feels strange to call that right, I said. It's the only way the rest of it works, she said. You can't hold up a house by lying under it. In the stairwell, we ran into Joe the Super. He nodded at the door where the paper had changed shape. Looks better, he said. Fewer clipboards lately. Fewer clipboards is the dream, I said. Sam walked me down. We stood on the stoop like we were 16 again, waiting for rides to 2 different parties. "I'm not going to ask you for anything today," he said. "That's the nicest thing you've said to me in a year," I said. And we both smiled honest this time. "I'm going to a meeting," he said. "A dad group. The hardware store guy runs it in the back room on Tuesdays. They talk about bedtime tantrums and budgets. It's corny." "Corny saves lives," I said. "Go." He nodded. "I will." I walked home through a market where a woman yelled about peaches and a man sold flowers from a bucket. I bought a bouquet of cheap sunflowers and put them on my table in a jar that once held olives. They made the room glow like a small sun. My mother called that night not to demand, not to guilt. "I made extra soup," she said. "Can I drop some tomorrow? I'll text first." "If you say no, I won't come." "Text first," I said. "If I'm home, yes." She exhaled soft. "We're learning," she said. "We are," I said. Later, Eli and I watched a movie that didn't require thought. He fell asleep with his head in my lap. I scrolled to the photo of 8-year-old me in the album and then put it away. I didn't need it to make or break any point. It could just be a picture. The story had new sentences now. Before bed, I wrote in my notes app the list I'd started the day the envelope came. Things I didn't agree to. I added a new heading, Things I Do Agree to. Telling the truth, even when it makes people uncomfortable. Saying yes to help that is mutual and planned. Protecting my time and name. Being Leo's aunt, not his parent. Letting old stories end. I closed the list. I turned off the light. I slept like someone who wasn't waiting for a knock. 2 weeks passed. The world kept doing world things. Work launched. Bugs happened. I fixed them without a kid on my couch eating gummy vitamins. On my Saturday, I took Leo to the museum for our scheduled monthly evening. We watched the jellyfish flicker like living lamps. He pressed his nose to the glass. "They look like wishes," he said. "They do," I said. We ate grilled cheese after. He asked if the door police work at the museum. I told him they do in a quiet way, and he nodded like he already knew. When I dropped him home, Felicity handed me a thank you card Leo had scribbled on. Inside, in her careful handwriting, she wrote, "Thank you for new boundaries. We needed them." Sam added, "I joined the Tuesday group. It's not corny." I walked home with the card in my pocket and the museum ticket stub pressed between my fingers. The city smelled like rain that hadn't arrived yet. I passed a couple arguing in whispers, a man singing off-key, a woman pushing a stroller with one wheel that squeaked. Everyone doing their best. At my door, I punched in my code and listened for the click. My lock acknowledged me. My space welcomed me. That sound felt like freedom. None. The line I drew didn't fix everything. There were still days my mother forgot and tried to nudge the old script back on stage. There were moments Sam called late, and I had to let it ring and trust he would use the plan instead of me. There was a morning Felicity texted emergency with a question mark that meant "Do your rules bend?" And I wrote back not during work and felt guilty for 9 minutes, then less. But the walls held, the plan held, I held. And when the next hard thing arrived, and it always does in families, it did not flatten me. It knocked. I checked the peephole. I decided if I would open. That's the difference. Part 5 begins with a different kind of test. Not clipboards, not paperwork, something older. A holiday table where the past likes to pour wine and toast itself. I went anyway. I brought a pie. I brought my own chair. I brought a sentence I trusted. Here's exactly what I can do. And I meant it. I showed up with a pecan pie, my own folding chair, and the sentence that had saved my spine. Here's exactly what I can do. My mother opened the door before I could knock. The house smelled like roasting garlic and orange peel. Music low. Voices stacked in the living room. She took the pie, saw the chair, and almost smiled. "Set it wherever you like," she said. That tiny permission felt like a landmark. Eli kissed my temple and whispered, "Tap me if you need an exit." I nodded and slid my chair between 2 cousins on the far side of the table, away from the seat my mother had labeled Maya next to the kitchen door. I moved the card. No speech, no fuss. A small redirection no one could ignore because I did it with a napkin over my arm like a waiter. Hector, my father, clocked it. He lifted his glass and said nothing. That too was new. We ate early. The table was a crowded map of the year beans from Tia Lila's backyard sweet potatoes with charred tops, a bowl of olives, for reasons no one remembers. Leo lined his carrot sticks like train cars. Felicity refilled water before anyone asked. Sam carved quietly, his motions practiced and careful, like he was afraid to slip. Holiday conversation is a river that splits and braids weatherwork, the price of eggs, someone's minor surgery, and then without warning, the current drags you where it wants. An uncle asked about my job. I said we'd shipped a feature, and everyone cheered for 7 minutes before filing bug tickets. People laughed. Eli clinked his fork to mine like a tiny toast. Then Aunt Lila looked at me over her glasses and said, gentle as steam, "How's the scholarship, kid?" She meant it kindly. She meant history. She didn't know she'd just stepped on a mine we finally uncovered. Finally, I was lucky, I said. Scholarships and hustle. Hector cleared his throat. We all sacrificed, he said. The old line, polished from use. I put down my fork. We did, I said. And we're changing what that means. A hush, brief and real, spread like a lid over the table. Felicity stared at her plate. Sam's chair creaked. My mother passed bread like a lifeline. Try the rolls, she said, voice too bright. Tess wasn't there, but I could hear her voice anyway. Say it once and don't argue it. I set the sentence down with my spoon. We're not doing old myths tonight, I said, calm. We're eating. The river found another channel. Laughter returned. Leo announced the turkey looked like a spaceship. Someone started a story about a neighbor's dog stealing empanadas from a porch. The room breathed again. After dinner, Hector tapped a folder on the sideboard, like a judge calling a case. Family meeting, he said. The phrase made my shoulders stiffen the way certain songs make your eyes sting. Eli squeezed my knee under the table. My mother tried a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Just 10 minutes, she said. We moved to the living room. The folder was blue thick with tabs. He set it on the coffee table with a soft thud that reminded me of courtrooms I've only seen on TV. Estate updates, he said, and a simple thing for Sam's future. Paperwork, nothing more. I didn't sit. I stood behind my chair like a bouncer in flats. What's the simple thing, I asked. A bridge loan, he said. Short term. Sam needs capital to spin up a side business, freelance drafting small projects. The bank wants a guarantor. Only on paper, no risk. Paper only, no risk. The exact language people use before billboards, bankruptcies, and bad local ads about class action suits. Who's the guarantor, I asked. Hector didn't blink. He slid the top page toward me with a pen on it like a baton. You, he said. Of course. The room tilted and then steadied because the ground under my feet was mine now. No, I said. Not loud, not angry. A hand over a candle. He laughed not kindly. It's just a signature, Maya. It's a debt I don't owe, I said, with my name on it. He opened his hands like a preacher making a point. Family stands behind family. How many times do we have to say this? Until it sounds true, I said. It doesn't. Sam didn't reach for the pen. He stared at his knees. Felicity put her hand on his, and for the first time since they moved here, I saw her stop him from doing something easy and dangerous. My mother tried to thread the needle. It would only be for a year, she said. Once the draft work is steady. That's a plan, I said. A plan I'm not part of. Hector's jaw worked. He looked like a man who has lifted the same tool for decades and found it suddenly heavy. After everything we did for you, he said. Old weapons, old war. You used my college money, I said evenly. You tried to list me as a guarantor on a lease. You signed my name on a school form. I'm not repeating that pattern because the meat is warm and the house smells like cinnamon. Silence. Then Aunt Lila, bless her, sipped her tea loudly like a drum roll. She's not wrong, she said, eyes on Hector. We keep calling things support that are actually something else. Eli didn't speak. He didn't need to. His hand found the small of my back and made a quiet circle, a signal that said, I'm here if you step out. I stayed. Hector's voice dropped. You would let your brother fail. No, I said. I'll help him not fail. I'll brainstorm clients. I'll review his website. I'll watch Leo the one night a month I promised so he can meet deadlines. I'll not be on a note that could ruin my credit for 10 years. That is not betrayal. That is adulthood. He pushed the pen closer until it nudged the folder's edge. Sign it. Sam finally spoke hoarse. Dad, stop! Everyone turned. He cleared his throat. I'm not asking her, he said louder. I won't let you ask her for me. I keep messing up because I think there's always another net. There isn't. I'll build slower, or I won't build at all. I'll keep the second job. We'll be okay. Felicity nodded, hard eyes bright. We will. My mother let out a breath that sounded like a tire finding a nail and deciding not to flatten. Hector stared at Sam like a rock staring at a river, not used to being moved. He tried one more angle. "We are not people who leave family to drown. I brought a life jacket," I said. "I'm not jumping in with my wallet in my pocket." The pen stopped moving. Hector leaned back. His face did that still thing men do when they're choosing between rage and retreat. He chose neither. He folded the folder shut slow and neat, like a trick he'd performed 1,000 times and was finally done with. "Suit yourself," he said. I said and sat. My hands were steady. That surprised me most. Someone turned on the game in the other room. Leo bounced in wearing a paper crown my mom had made from foil and tape. He put it on my head and said, "You're the door police." Everyone laughed, and it broke the tension like sugar in hot tea. The rest of the night wasn't a fairy tale. Hector went quiet and too polite. My mother over-apologized with leftovers. Sam insisted on doing dishes and clanked a fork too hard. I carved pie for cousins and listened to 3 versions of a kindergarten story about crayons melting on a radiator. When we left, my mother followed me to the porch with a container of tamales and the look of someone who wants to say 100 things and knows only 10 will help. She chose one. "Thank you for not leaving," she said. "I said I'd come for dinner," I said. "I did that." She nodded. "I told your father he doesn't get to sign your name with his mouth anymore." I smiled despite myself. "That's a good line." "I stole it from your social worker," she said. And we both laughed because she was learning to borrow from better places. In the car, I exhaled a breath I didn't know I was holding. Eli set his hand on my knee at the first red light and didn't move it until we parked. "You were calm," he said, almost amazed. "I practiced," I said. "Every day since the envelope." At home, Tess had left a little gift bag by my door, 2 tea bags, a candy cane, and a handwritten note that said, "Queen of Boundaries, long may she reign." I laughed, brewed the tea, and watched steam ribbon in the kitchen light. My phone buzzed. A message from Ms. Green. I didn't expect on a holiday. File closed. Safety plan in good standing. You all did the work. Happy Thursday. I sent back a simple thank you and felt something unclench in my shoulders. Another message from Sam. I told him no again after you left. I meant it. I love you. I typed, "I love you," build slow. I'll still be here. Then I added, because it was true, and because it helps to say it no more forms with my name. "Deal," he wrote. I slept hard and woke to rain tapping the window like a soft insistence. The city looked rinsed. I made pancakes just for me and ate them standing up, listening to Billie Holiday and the radiator's shy little hiss. My apartment held the shape of my life, the way a good bowl holds soup, warmed by it, not warped. Over the next weeks, small tests kept arriving as they do. Felicity texted a last-minute request for a weekday morning, and I wrote, "I can do Thursday evening instead." She replied, "Got it," and found a swap in the daycare co-op. My mother asked for my spare key, and I said, "Tess has plant duty." She said, "Okay," and meant it. Hector sent me an article about the value of guarantors, and I didn't answer. Some messages don't need company. I went to Sam's Tuesday group one night just to see. It was 10 men in a hardware store back room talking about tantrums, utility bills, and bedtime stories that work on 2-year-olds and on yourself. They passed around a flyer for a city microgrant for small trades. Sam took one. He didn't ask me for money. He asked me to proofread his application. I did. He submitted it. We waited together, both aware of what we weren't doing, which made what we did feel honest. On my scheduled aunt night, I took Leo to a winter market where the lights hung like strings of spilled stars. He wanted hot chocolate and a wooden train whistle that probably violates several noise ordinances. We bought both. He blew the whistle once and then held it like a secret weapon he was saving for a better fight. On the way home, he asked, "Are you my second mom?" Kids step on truth without knowing it's glass. I could have given a speech about roles and titles. I gave him something smaller. "I'm your Maya," I said. "That's my favorite job." He nodded like that settled it. In his world, names are jobs. Door police, train captain, Aunt Maya, clean. A week later, the microgrant email came. Sam got it. Not a fortune. Enough to buy software licenses and a better chair, and 3 months to find out if a thing is a thing. He sent a screenshot and a photo of the new chair still in a box. "It has lumbar support," he wrote. like a man who has learned to value a spine. We celebrated with cheap pizza at my place. He sat in my folding chair, on purpose, looked me in the eye and said, "I'm proud of you." He meant no, not his win, which is maybe the biggest win. He left early to put Leo to bed. Eli stayed. We cleaned up in the quiet way of people who like each other. He dried. I washed. When we were done, he leaned against the counter and said, "Part of me thought your father might never stop." "Me too," I said. "Turns out I'm allowed to stop even if he doesn't." "Look at you," he said, being the door police and also the door. I laughed. "I prefer doorkeeper," I said. Sounds less like a cartoon. He kissed me, which was not at all cartoon, and the kettle clicked off like a tiny applause. The year slid toward its end. My calendar filled with things I chose: work sprints a weekend upstate, a museum membership one Saturday for Sam and Felicity to nap, while I took Leo to look at the big boat in the harbor. When the family group chat floated the idea of a New Year's trip all together, I wrote, "We'll meet you for brunch when you're back." There were eye roll emojis. There were also heart reactions. Progress is messy. On the last night of the year, we stood on my balcony with cheap sparklers and paper crowns. The city blew kisses of light. People yelled at midnight like their throats could throw wishes farther that way. I thought about the first knock, the red duffel, the yellow envelope with lies in black and white. I thought about the blue folder and the pen that didn't move. I thought about a little kid in dinosaur pajamas calling me by my name, and a social worker with a notebook drawing boxes where my life could breathe. When the sparklers burned down to their wires, I set mine in a dish and said it out loud to Eli, to the sky, to the old story still lurking in corners. "I don't carry everyone." "Happy New Year, Maya," Eli said. "Happy New Year," I said back. And I meant the word happy with my whole mouth. Part 6 starts with a small time jump. The plan holds. The work continues. Something new arrives that asks the same old question in a brand new costume. Are you the net or the person? This time, I don't even need to rehearse. Here's exactly what I can do. And I do only that. 6 months slid by. Harbor City went from gray to green and back again. The plan held. No more surprise buzzers. No envelopes with my name doing jobs I didn't give it. I kept my evenings. My work calendar stopped bleeding into weekends. Peace is quiet. It also has weight. I could feel it in my shoulders. Sam's small drafting business took root the way herbs do on a sunny sill, slow then, suddenly, there's flavor. The microgrant paid for software and a chair that didn't punish his spine. He kept one hardware shift, not 3. Felicity's shop stabilized when she cut 10 products and delivered the 5 she could actually ship on time. Leo learned to write his name in blocky letters that looked like tiny ladders. He still lined up his toy cars. He still asked 100 questions a day. He still slept with the turtle. My rules lived like furniture. You noticed them when you bumped into them. Then you learned the layout. One evening, a month with Leo. Planned. No weekday drop-ins. No signatures without a read-through and a cup of tea. The door code stayed mine. Then life tested the edges like it always does. It started on a breezy Thursday at the park, my scheduled ant night. We'd built my fortress out of jellyfish and grilled cheese. This month was swings and sticky fingers. Leo pumped high enough to make my stomach flip. He laughed so hard, he scared a pigeon. Sam and Felicity sat on the bench with paper cups and a look I knew, news and hope. Felicity reached for my hand. "We're due in November," she said. "It's early," Sam added, voice soft. "We haven't told our parents yet. We wanted to tell you first." My heart did 2 things at once. It glowed and braced. New life is joy and logistics. "Congratulations," I said and meant it. Leo yelled Big Brother to the empty air and grinned like he'd invented the title. Felicity pulled in a breath. "I want to ask for help, the kind that fits you." I waited. She watched my face like a weather report. "I've lined up the co-op calendar through November," she said. "We have 3 friends who cook. Sam's Tuesday group does crib assembly. We can't afford a doula, but there's a sliding scale one with 2 openings. For after the birth, I want to schedule 3 Saturday naps. Daylight, 2 hours each. We'll pay for the Uber both ways. If you can't, I'll figure something else out." I'm asking, not assuming. That last sentence landed like a gift wrapped in truth. "Put the dates on a calendar," I said. "I'll take 1 Saturday each month. 2 hours planned. I'll also design you a simple one-page checkout flow so your shop stops losing orders at the cart. She blinked. You don't have to. I want to, I said. It's in my lane. Sam squeezed my shoulder with 2 fingers, a signal we learned when we were small that meant I see you. He didn't say, you're the best, or any other phrase that turns help into permanent job titles. He said thank you like he had practice now. That was test 1. We passed together. Test 2 came the way bad news likes to come in a sentence that doesn't fit in a phone. My mother called at 6:12 a.m. It's your father, she said. Chest pain. We're at Mercy. I threw on a sweater over pajamas and called an app car. Eli slid into shoes without my asking. In the ride, I stared at the back of the driver's head and counted the gray threads in his beanie to stay calm. Hospitals smell like bleach and bravado. Mercy's ER was fluorescent and full of soft voices saying not soft things. A nurse pointed us to a hall with curtains. My father lay on a narrow bed, pale-wired, furious at the beeping. A cardiologist with kind eyes said the words, minor heart attack and stent and good timing. The words that follow those words are always about change. Salt Steps medicine with names that sound like trees and machines. My mother sat in a plastic chair with both hands clasped like she was praying and wringing laundry at the same time. She looked at me, then Eli, then down. They want a healthcare proxy, she said. In case, not money. Decisions. Your father wants to put your name. Mine, I asked. What about yours? They want a second, she said. If I'm in surgery or unreachable. Hector watched me from the bed like he dared me to say no to a man in a thin gown. Old scripts show up even when there are machines attached to your chest. I pulled the curtain half closed and made our own room inside the room. I'll be the secondary for medical decisions only, I said. You stay first. No finances. Nothing open-ended, limited to health. And I want everything in writing in big letters with dates. My father's mouth did that downturn thing I used to mistake for authority. You always make it difficult, he said. I stood. I make it clear, I said. That's what keeps it safe. The cardiologist returned with the form. We read every line. I asked dumb questions on purpose because they catch hidden hooks. The doctor answered without rolling his eyes. Yes, strictly medical, he said. No, can't be used to sign a loan. Yes, revocable. He nodded at Eli. You can be a witness. We signed. The nurse witnessed. My father went up for the procedure. It took 90 minutes and 10 years. When the doctor came back, he said textbook, and I wanted to hug him and a vending machine at the same time. In recovery, Hector looked small. The first thing he said to me wasn't a demand or a proverb or a guilt trip shaped like a thank you. It was, I don't like being scared. Me either, I said. He shut his eyes. I'm sorry, he said barely out loud. For the paperwork, for the money, for thinking family meant you. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't perfect. It was real. I put my hand on the bed rail. Thank you, I said. We let the machines talk for a while. When he went to sleep, my mother and I walked the hall. The floor was cold through my thin shoes. What do you need, I asked. She didn't reach for a folder. She didn't say sign. She said, a ride Tuesday, soup on Wednesday, and company when we toss his cigarettes. Done, I said. What else? A password manager, she said, attempting a joke that wasn't really a joke. And a calendar I don't have to carry in my head. I can build that, I said. We were both learning better places to borrow. Back at my apartment that night, I showered twice and scrubbed my hands like I could wash off worry. Then I stood at the sink and stared at the dark window. Eli dried the dishes I hadn't used. How's your heart? He asked gently. Loud, I said, but it's beating where it's supposed to. He wrapped me up in arms and clean cotton. I rested my forehead under his collarbone and breathed like a person who learned how again. The next afternoon, I built the password manager and shared it with my parents with one rule in big bold letters at the top. Do not add accounts in my name. I created a shared calendar labeled What Helps with slots for rides appointments and soup. Tess grabbed 2 squares before I could assign her one. Soup Master General reporting she texted sending a pot emoji and a crown. Hector came home with a bottle of pills and a new softness in his voice. He did not like the taste of either. He tried to return the softness the very next day by saying sign for my pharmacy account so you can pick up my refills when your mother's busy. No, I said. Then I'll create an authorized pickup under your name with my number attached. We spent 20 minutes on hold to make a change that would have taken 20 seconds with a forgery. I held the line. He held the phone. That counted as progress. Meanwhile, Sam's business grew. Not flashy, steady. His first 3 clients paid on time. He finished a porch design that made an old house look like it could breathe. He took Leo with him on a walkthrough and made him the measuring helper, which is a job I wish existed when we were kids. I helped Sam set up a simple website with photos and a contact form and a calendar that respected sleep. No late-night slots. No urgent weekend. You taught me that he said clicking publish. Slow is kind. In September, he moved them to a smaller apartment closer to the park. No notice pinned to the door this time. No chain put up in hurry. The new place had dinged floors and good light. Leo ran in circles until he fell down laughing. We had a pizza on boxes like poor theater kids, and it tasted like relief. When Sam reached for the tip on the delivery app, he didn't look at me for permission. He knew his numbers. He could make choices without borrowing trust. 2 weeks later, Felicity's doctor said bed rest in a tone that meant sit down or else. She texted me before my mother. "We're okay," she wrote. "I'm bored and grateful. Saturday nap plan still good." "Yes," I wrote. "I'll be there at 2. I'll bring a boring magazine and a good snack." Her reply came with 4 hearts and 1 carrot emoji I didn't understand. Later, she admitted she was trying to send a cookie. The Saturday nap plan worked because it was exactly what it said. I arrived. I played trains with Leo for 2 hours. I left. No extra asks. No sly add-ons. Sometimes we built a city out of wooden blocks and named it No Adults. Sometimes we watched a video of goats in pajamas. Once he fell asleep on my arm and drooled on my sleeve, and I wore the mark home like a medal. On my way out one afternoon, I saw a card on the fridge with the title Support Crew. Ms. Green's grid names and boxes lived on their magnets now. Under Maya, it said Saturday naps 2 hours in neat black ink. Under Sam's Tuesday group, it said crib plus errands. Under Mom, it said soup rides. Under Marta, it said check-ins, no surprises. Under Hector, it said nothing. A blank square. A space saved for the day he could write walks or stories, or even just ask first. I smiled and left the marker uncapped on purpose. October brought rain and a hiccup. The co-op had a stomach bug that moved like gossip. Leo hugged me with sticky hands and a fever I could feel through his pajamas. Felicity called me voice shaky. "He wants you," she said. "He always wants you when he's sick. But it's your work day. We're within the plan. I'm just telling you." I looked at my calendar. 2 meetings I could move. A deadline I couldn't. My heart wanted to run. My head held up its hand. "I can do an hour on my lunch," I said. "That's all I have. I'll bring ice pops." "That's plenty," she said. "Thank you for the hour. Thank you for not promising more." I went. We watched a cartoon with a dragon who wanted to be a chef and talked about what makes soup good. "Noodles," he said, eyes heavy. We high-fived once, and he fell asleep hot and damp against my side. When I stood to leave, he murmured, "My Maya," like he was naming my job again. It still staggered me that love can say the same 2 words and feel like a new sentence each time. November came with a thin cold and a fat moon. Felicity went into labor on a Wednesday. She texted the group chat baby time, and we all moved like a pit crew in slow motion. My slot was simple Leo. 2 hours at dusk, while Sam swapped cars and my mother found her glasses. We read the same book 3 times and ate cereal for dinner. He asked if babies come with hats. I said sometimes. He nodded like the world had laws again. At 11:24 p.m., a photo arrived Felicity with wild hair and a tired smile, Sam glowing and stunned, a tiny person between them in a hat that made her look like an eggplant. "She's here," the caption said. Nora. I cried on my couch in the kind of uncomplicated way I forget exists. Eli handed me a tissue and didn't tease. We sent a picture of my plant with a bow on it, because what else do you send at midnight to people who just made a person? The first weeks with Nora were the kind of fog that makes time elastic. My Saturday naps were a lighthouse. I came at 2, I left at 4. We watched Leo build, we rocked Nora. When allowed, we respected naps like they were federal law. When Felicity's eyes brimmed at the door because I was leaving, I hugged her and said, "Text tomorrow during daytime." We'll negotiate next month's date." She nodded and felt her own power return. In December, a small envelope arrived with unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a drawing of a square with 4 names in boxes. Ms. Green's map, Leo had written the E backwards. Below it, 3 stick figures, one big with curly hair, Felicity, one tall with a triangle for a tie, Sam Hilarious, and one with a crown. "That's you," he told me later. "You help keep doors safe." I put the drawing on my fridge with 2 magnets and the receipt from the night I bought my glass table. I like seeing old money and new meaning share a space. We kept our promise to ourselves and went to Portugal in late winter. Eli had never been. I brought him to the river, to a bakery that sells clouds as pastry, to a tiled wall that makes blue feel like a language. I sent Leo 3 postcards, a tram, a castle, a rooster, in colors that don't exist in nature. He sent back a note with 8 stickers and 1 sentence in pencil. "Tell the door police hello in Portugal. We stood on a cliff above the Atlantic, with wind that tried to push us into the next life." Eli took my hand. "If you could tell Part 1 Maya anything," he asked, "what would you say?" "Read forms," I said, and laughed. Then I sobered. "And this: the people who love you will adjust. The ones who only love your usefulness will complain, and then they'll adjust too. Or they won't, and you'll learn to live without their noise." He kissed my temple. "Put that on a t-shirt." "Put it on a binder," I said. "Better audience." Back home, winter cracked and the city thawed. Hector started a walking club for men who hate walking. They drink terrible decaf and tell stories about the 70s and walk 3 slow blocks and feel like champions. He added his name to the support crew card at Sam's Grandpa Walks Saturdays when warm. He wrote it with care, each letter heavy, as if weight could make a promise stronger. I took a picture and sent it to Ms. Green with no caption. She hearted it and replied with a single check mark. Felicity's parents visited and didn't say move back. They brought a suitcase full of onesies and left with a list of dates they could fly in to help. That's what change looks like when it sticks: fewer speeches, more calendars. Sam had a rough week in March. 2 clients ghosted. A third wanted 1 more edit enough times to be a parody. He called me late the old hour, and I watched my phone ring on the table like it was an animal I didn't understand. I almost answered. I almost apologized to my future self. Then I let it go to voicemail and texted, "I love you." Morning call at 9. He wrote back, "Yes," almost immediately. In the sunlight, we made a plan that didn't involve panic or penance. He cut the scope. He raised his rates. He wrote kinder deadlines. He did not ask me for money. He did ask me to help rehearse a boundary sentence. We practiced until he could say it without looking at the ceiling. In April, Ms. Green emailed one last form, a satisfaction survey. I laughed so hard, I spilled coffee on my keyboard. I filled it out. Under what worked, I wrote boxes with names, a social worker who doesn't blink. Making support a plan, not a feeling. Under what didn't, I wrote habits that pretend they are love. Spring made the city loud again. Street fair sirens, buskers, toddlers in hats shaped like animals. One Saturday, I met a neighbor's kid at the elevator. She pointed at my door police drawing and asked, "Are you a firefighter?" "Sometimes," I said. "Mostly I just don't let people borrow my fire." She nodded like she knew exactly what I meant. On my birthday, we had cake on the balcony, with sparklers that hissed like soda. Sam gave me a small framed print of a tram. Felicity gave me a coupon book good for one organized drawer and 2 hours of scrolling for the perfect hotel. My parents gave me a card with 3 sentences and no money. That last part matters because it's new. We are proud. We are learning. Thank you for staying for dinner, even when we deserved otherwise. I cried into my paper plate, and Eli kissed my cheek until I laughed. That night, I opened the Notes app where I keep the list I started the day of the yellow envelope. Things I didn't agree to sits at the top like a museum label. Under it, I added a new item, being the hero in a story that erases me. Then I scrolled to things I do agree to and added, saying no without a speech, saying yes where I shine, letting forgiveness be slow and specific, keeping my table glass because I like it, not because it proves anything. I closed the app. I turned off the light. I slept without listening for footsteps in the hall. If you're still with me, if you've watched me trip over a red duffel, hold an envelope with my name used like duct tape, sit at a table with a blue folder and a pen that didn't move, and pick a Saturday nap over a 7-day rescue. Here's the question I ask you. When your family's old story knocks, which sentence will you put between you and the door? I use this one now. It fits in my mouth. It makes room for love that's honest. Here's exactly what I can do. Then I do only that. And somehow the people who really love me meet me there.